Okay, we're sort of live with episode 1 of Shelf Space. To the right there, I'm Kris. To the right there is the talented Gina B.
Hello.
Gina, how you doing today?
I'm good, and you're also talented yourself, Kris.
Thank you. No need to suck up to your co-host here. So I guess this is the start of our new show. We're starting this online show. It's called Shelf Space, as we said. And we're just going to talk pop culture stuff. We're both collectors, obviously. We met via the statue groups on Facebook, so we're going to have a focus on statues and collectibles, but we'll talk all sorts of stuff. So,
Sounds good. I think we've known each other for like over 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
It's been a long time, yeah.
So and we've sort of discussed trying to do this show for a while. So. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we talked about it for a while. So it's been a long time coming for us. So we're happy about it. So hopefully everyone enjoys watching. We've got some special features planned for later. For those who are into sports talk television, you might recognize the format here, PTI style. We're going to have, you can see all of our topics to the right, and our featured topic, what we're going to focus on, will be at the bottom there. Usually, I guess it'll depend on show to show.
Yeah, and this episode is going to be this year's San Diego Comic-Con.
That's right, the big event from a couple weeks ago. Everyone loves Comic-Con. It's sort of the flagship event for Sideshow. So, let's get into topic 1, which is the Venom trailer. Before we talk about it too much, why don't we just watch the trailer here? So we'll flip that on, and here we go.
I'm Eddie Brock. I'm a reporter.
I always seem to find myself
questioning something the government may not be looking at. I found something really bad. And I have been... Who said that? Taken.
Look around at the world. What do you see? A planet on the brink of collapse. Human beings are disposable. But man and symbiote combined. This is a new race, a new species. A higher life form.
What do you want from me?
You'll find out.
I'm so sorry. We cannot just hurt people.
Look into my eyes, Eddie. The way I see it. We can do whatever we want. Do we have a deal? Eyes, lungs, pancreas. So many snacks, so little time.
That power, it's not completely awful.
You have no idea how much you're scaring me right now.
Eddie, cooperate. And you just might survive.
Guys, you do not want to do this, trust me.
Giant leaps will always come at a cost.
We will eat both your arms and then both of your legs, and then we will eat your face right off your head. You will be this armless, legless, faceless thing, won't you? Rolling down the street like a turd in the wind.
What the hell are you?
We are Venom.
Oh, I have a parasite. Yeah. Name is Chen.
Okay, so there's the full trailer. I forgot to turn us off at the beginning there. That's why we're not doing this live, but uh, we're getting used to the controls here. So what do you think about that trailer? Does that make you want to see the movie?
I don't know. I mean, I think we definitely got a full view now of Venom and how the CGI is gonna look. Um, I mean, honestly, I think I would have seen the movie regardless of what I thought of the trailer, just as a comic book fan. But I think this trailer proved itself a bit more than the first little teaser trailer that we saw months ago.
Yeah,
What
way
do you
more.
think? Yeah.
A lot of we got obviously a good look at Venom there. So here's a couple of the movie posters here. I really like the Japanese one. I think that looks awesome.
That looks awesome.
Um, so that looks a lot like the mini or the 1/4 bus from XM, right?
It does. It does.
Um, here's some more images. It got the morph scene. I think
Yeah.
every Venom collectible now these days has to have a morph head, so they got to have the morph scene in the movie.
That's right.
And then we got a good look at I think the main villain, which is called Riot. Do you
think
know?
so.
Yeah, do you know? Have you ever read the Lethal Protector series?
No.
I think they're basing it off that. On the left there, that's Venom. So you can see he's got good size. So
Yeah.
that's
What do you
good.
think of? Because this is the first time we've seen him full body. Do you think? Did they
Uh,
get him thick enough? Did they get him?
he, I think he looks. I think he looks okay.
I think he looks tall enough for sure because he's supposed to be that tall. But is he thick enough? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. We'll have to wait and see. He might be a little skinny. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But you can see the white in his suit. I think that's kind of a,
Yeah.
a throwback to the logo that they're missing.
Yeah.
And then Riot down at the bottom there. I think he's the gray guy in the middle of that comic panel there.
Okay.
And apparently they're going to have, I don't know if all 5 of those symbiotes are going to be in there or just a couple of females or what.
Did they confirm Carnage?
They haven't confirmed Carnage yet.
Okay.
But I think he's going to be in it. Woody Harrelson's supposed to be Carnage, right?
I think so. That's what. Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I think they nailed the sort of anti-hero aspect of Venom.
Yeah.
But-
I don't know. I guess that leads us into the main question of this topic. Like, does Venom have to have Spider-Man in it? Like how, he's a Spider-Man villain originally. I think most people know him as tied to that Spider-Man universe. So, I mean, how do you think they're going to do it without Spider-Man?
Yeah. Well, here's my thought on this. Like, I've sort of been thinking about this question for a while. Does the movie need Spider-Man? And at first I'm thinking, well, I mean, Venom is already a character that's had his own comic books. He's a character that can hold his own and I think can carry a film. So I think that at first I was thinking, yeah, he doesn't need Spider-Man. But then I thought, if Tom Holland did make a cameo as Spider-Man in this film, I think that scene or scenes would steal the show. I think that's what everyone would be talking about.
Yeah.
And not because Tom Holland would outact or outperform Tom Hardy, but I think because fans will get excited seeing Spider-Man alongside Venom.
They would.
Yeah, I think those are the scenes that would I think people would be talking about. So maybe maybe the movie doesn't need Spider-Man, but if it did have Spider-Man, it might elevate the film. What do you think?
I mean, for me, like I think the movie can be entertaining. I like Tom Hardy a lot.
Me
I
too.
think he's a really good actor, and I think he'll be great in that role. But for me, that's Venom, right there. He's a Spider-Man villain. He needs to be, and what makes him so dangerous is because it was connected to Spider-Man before. He's got all the memories and thoughts and feelings of Peter Parker, right?
Right.
So for me, I don't know if you can have a Venom movie. You can be an entertaining movie about an alien,
Yeah.
but I think there's got to be some Spider-Man tie-in.
Well,
for me.
let me just throw this out at you. Can I use the analogy that having a Venom movie without Spider-Man is the same as having a Joker movie without Batman?
Are you talking about the new one coming up?
Or yeah, or I mean,
With
maybe
Joaquin
maybe the
Phoenix?
same. Yeah, but maybe the same thing applies. Maybe Joker can't have a movie without Batman. I mean, it can't excel as a story without Batman because they're so complementary to each other.
I think that's different, and here's why. I think the Joker has his own origin, right? He kind of came
Okay.
along and became the Joker without Batman, right?
Okay.
He was just kind of there, and Batman started to fight him, right? Venom
Yes.
has to have that tie to that emotional tie to Spider-Man,
Okay.
and that's what makes him so dangerous for me, like to Spider-Man.
Okay.
Um,
So well, then let me just throw this wrench into what you're saying then. With Joker though, Joker's origin is apart from Batman for sure, but Joker's motivation from then on is always been Batman.
yeah, that's true.
And right, his motivation from then on, whereas I think it's the opposite of Venom. So Venom's origin is with Spider-Man, but then his motivations later on is sort of apart from Spider-Man. So
I guess. I mean, I'm just too
yeah.
fanboy when it comes to it, I guess. So,
But I have to say something though. I don't think if Venom does not really wow the fans or wow the critics, I don't think it'll be because of Tom Hardy. I think it'll be for other reasons. I think
okay, so on that topic, if that movie flops, is that the last of Sony's Spider-Man universe? Do you think-
yes.
Yeah? You think that's the end of it?
I'm just going by other flops and other franchises. It pretty much stops the money investments.
Well,
If you look at the money, if you look at the Mummy with Tom Cruise,
yeah, it
that
was a
stopped
fail.
that whole franchise
That was a
after
fail.
that. Yeah, so that's my prediction. I think. I mean, what do you think? Do you think if Venom's a flop?
Yeah, because what they're planning some kind of Black Cat.
Yeah.
Is that Black Cat, and who else
Yeah.
is going to be in it? I can't
Oh,
remember.
another female.
Yeah, it's like it's the equivalent of the What are the Gotham Sirens, but it's
Yes.
the Marvel version of that.
Yes, I can't remember which female. What Batman female? Sorry, Spider-Man female. I can't remember. But
Yeah.
you're right.
Black
Um,
Cat.
yeah.
Okay, well, so we're kind of are we differing opinions there? You think it doesn't need Spider-Man, and I of course thinks it does. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I'm still gonna go watch the movie, and if
Yeah.
it's good, then I'll admit that I'm wrong. But anyways, let's lead into the next topic here,
Okay.
and Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of your thing. So
So yeah, so I guess just recently Lucasfilms made their official casting announcements. So we know that for episode 9, so we know that the regulars are coming back. So here's a shot of the regulars, which is no surprise, I
yeah,
think.
I mean, we knew they were coming back.
We knew they were coming back.
For sure.
But the bigger surprise
Oh,
is
sorry. Before we leave those, the Kylo Ren thing reminds me. Have you ever watched the Kylo Ren reacts videos?
no. So do they
Yeah.
have his? Do they what? Do they have outtakes of him and then him from the movie, and then he's reacting to something else?
Yeah, it's those reaction to trailers
Yeah, yeah,
videos. It's Kylo Ren. So I don't know who does it. Some guy, and he talks in this Kylo Ren voice, and he watches like the Rogue One trailer, and
No.
and he's voice commentating over. You got to watch these things. They're hilarious.
No, I haven't seen that. I'll check it out.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt, but we'll go here.
Yeah, so now we have the some of the original cast coming back. So they announced, Billy D. Williams is coming back as Lando, Mark Hamill, which was a bit of a surprise. And then I think the biggest surprise is Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher. I think that's the biggest surprise because obviously her untimely passing. So before we get into whether we want them in the film or not, I'll just throw this question out to you, Kris. Should this have been left as a surprise? Would you rather walk into the theater not knowing anything about Lando coming back, and or even Leia.
Well, I think Lando and Luke. I mean, you can't hide those sorts of things. There'd be paparazzi shots of them on set, right?
Hmm.
I think that would have come out. The Leia part, obviously they could have kept that one hidden.
Yeah,
But she didn't die in the last movie, right?
correct.
So they had to do something.
Well,
Um,
there's a theory that they could have addressed her death in the wall scroll in the beginning
yeah,
of the film, which I thought that would have been excellent because it would have set the tone for the entire movie. Like they
yeah,
would have announced in that wall scroll, Princess Leia has passed away, and maybe give a brief explanation why, and it sets a very dark tone for the movie that then turns into a happy tone, obviously later on. But would you have enjoyed the movie if Lando came on as a cameo and you had no idea? Would that have changed your viewing experience? I think it would have changed mine. But
yeah. Anything that they can keep hidden is good, right? You
yeah,
want to go and be surprised. You don't want to know
yeah,
the story or the all the secrets that they hide in these things.
yeah.
Um,
Because I mean, I would have been clapping if I saw Lando and had no idea that Lando was going to be in, and then Lando comes in. I would have been clapping in the theater. Now that I know he's in there, it's like, you know,
yeah, I think I wonder if they just because he was in the last movie, the Han Solo one, Solo.
mhm.
Maybe because Donald Glover was he was kind of the star of the show, really. Have you seen
He
that?
was. Yes, yes, I
Um,
did.
I
Yes.
wonder if they added him, say, oh, we're gonna
I was
put
gonna
Lando back in now, so because
I was
everyone's
gonna ask
high
you
on
that
him.
question. I was gonna ask you that question. I mean, we can just speculate. We don't know anything. We're just fanboy and a fangirl. But do you think that the Lando decision was known from the very beginning? And we're gonna put him in third film, or was that a sort of a last minute ad? I think it was a last minute ad, sort of what you were
Yeah,
alluding to just now.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
people like Lando right now. He's big right now, so they're gonna put him in. So
Yeah.
it was probably after. But you know what's funny is I always thought they had the whole story kind of planned out, right? Like all 3 episodes. Like you'd think they'd have some kind of plan, but as people know, in the Last Jedi, they kind of
Don't get me
screw.
started.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring it up as much as I can just to get your reaction on screen here.
You want to get my reaction? Them not planning it out for those 3 films is just done out of pure just pure cockiness. They meaning the like Lucasfilms. They
Yeah,
just think no matter what they pumped out is going to do extremely well. All the fans are going to love it. You see Princess Leia, you see Luke, you're going to love it. So it was done out of them not being overly protective of the storyline.
yeah.
And yeah,
But to hear like, what was it J.J. Abrams? He kind of laid out his story, and then to know that the next director kind of just made it up
I
on his
heard
own,
that.
right?
What I read was what I read was that Ryan Johnson, the director of the Last Jedi, he actually changed some of J.J. Abrams' plot lines for the second film. So J.J. Abrams had some ideas of where it should go, and they let Ryan Johnson change a
Yeah,
few of those ideas. So that's
a
what I
few,
read.
a
Yeah.
few of them. Okay, so yeah, I guess to answer your question, should have been a surprise. Leia's a tough one because they're going to constantly get asked the question, right? Because she didn't die. So
Yeah.
and they could have said, oh, and I think if they'd have said, oh, wow, wait and see, that's kind of the tip off that she's in it. And
Yeah.
then if
Well,
they say no, well, then, I think they had to say one way or the other.
yeah. One last thing on this point, though, Chris. I have a theory. I think normally J.J. Abrams and even Lucasfilms have been extremely secretive of their plot lines and characters and who's going to be in the next film and blah blah blah. What, question is, why did they decide to release this information? In my personal, why do you think? And I'll tell you my theory afterwards.
Probably to bring people back after the last one, right?
That's the
So,
same thing.
oh, we're gonna have. Oh, Luke, you didn't like him in the last one. Well, he'll be back, and we'll fix it, right? So,
Yeah. I was thinking sort of on the same lines that they're trying to be proactive against all the haters
Yeah.
So instead of having Princess Leia come back and then people hate on it, they tell you 2 years ahead of time, or she's going to be in.
Yeah. So
And yeah, Anyways, enough on
okay.
Star Wars.
Well, other big news. It seems like the Fox and Disney merger is finally going ahead, and so what does that mean? I guess for moviegoers, that's probably the biggest aspect of this, right?
The X-Men.
Fox obviously had the rights to X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I mean, the good part of this is you're going to see these guys team up with these guys, right? Or potentially, to get all the X-Men. I guess it won't be those actors, I guess, or likely won't be those actors, which is, for me, losing Michael Fassbender as Magneto is definitely a sore point if that is the case.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was awesome as Magneto.
Yeah, he's one of the to me he's almost on the same level, or on the same level as Tom Hardy. He's just good at anything he does.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. I like most of the stuff he's in.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you. What do you think? Is that a good thing, trying to see the Avengers team up with
Absolutely.
X-Men?
Yeah, I think and just also having Disney and Marvel kind of goes back to what we were saying. That studio is known for being and planning their storylines, being very careful to plan those storylines.
Yes.
So having them in control of that X-Men franchise, and then Fantastic Four as well, I think is just
Well, yeah.
that's the good, I would say, for me as well.
Yeah. They plan everything out. So do you think there's going to be any kind of X-Men or Fantastic Four Easter eggs in the next part of Infinity War? I think it's too late to have them in it. They're kind of filming it.
For me, that kind of ties into the ugly. And I think the ugly is that whatever tie-ins or cameos or films that Disney's now going to do, it's going to be years till we see anything. Although we might have a cameo. Yes, we might have a cameo in the next Infinity Wars. But if we have a cameo, it's going to be like a logo. It's going to be it's going to be like someone's hand. It's going to be like a weapon.
My prediction is they'll have the Baxter Building, Fantastic Four headquarters, like something in the skyline, like in the distance, or they'll be flying somewhere and fly over the X Mansion or something like that, right? And it'll be the X-Men are here now, and it'll be everyone will go crazy for it, right? It'll be like a 3-second thing. But what about Deadpool? Are you excited to see him in the Disney Marvel universe?
Surprisingly, I am, because I think Disney has already announced that they want to continue with Deadpool, and they don't want to interfere with the R-rated.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they made some statement, but things can change, so they may change it. Here's the deal: if Deadpool movie had not been made yet, I'd be like, yes, I'm worried. But the fact that it was made and successful, Disney knows, okay, we're going to leave it alone. There's a good thing going there. Let it be. So, yes, because it's proven itself, and I think Disney will follow along that same line.
Did you see Deadpool 2?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you like it compared to the first
I liked it. Yeah. I think the first one was a bit more original.
Yeah.
And I think Deadpool, I didn't quite enjoy the first 20 minutes as much.
With his girlfriend. Spoiler. Well, it's been out for a while. I don't think we have to worry about spoilers here.
Well, I'll say why without spoiling anything.
Okay.
I found that the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes was sort of the same type of humor, the same rehash of what we saw in the first film. So what we saw in the first film was completely original. So from the opening credits, everything was great. But I think in Deadpool 2, the first 20 minutes was pretty much the same type of humor, same type of opening credit scene. Nothing really changed, right? It was the same humor. Yeah. Then when X-Force and his team members started to come into play, that was completely different, and I think it worked.
I liked Domino a lot. I thought she was really good.
She was really good.
And
yeah,
her scenes, her action scenes, I think, were the best of the movie.
Yeah, it was pretty funny how they did it.
Yeah.
People were
Uh,
wondering how they were going to do it.
so a lot of these characters are going to be coming back to um, the
Yep.
MCU now. So that's some of them already are in there, I guess, like Ronan and stuff. But the main ones for me, other aside from the main Fantastic Four, are Galactus and Silver Surfer.
The Silver Surfer.
I think that's one of my favorite storylines in Marvel was the coming of Galactus. But I wonder if they'll do it, since they've already kind of done that cosmic alien coming from outer space thing.
That's what I'm thinking too.
You know,
I remember I read an interview with Kevin Feige, who pretty much runs Marvel Studios, and they were asking him about Silver Surfer in the Infinity Wars, in the first one, and he said he would have loved, as a fan, he would have loved to put the Silver Surfer in there, but
So,
nothing
yeah.
is set in stone. So in that first Infinity Wars, he wanted to, but there was no deal set in stone or whatever. But what I got from that interview was that he's aware that this is what people want, and he himself as a fan wants it as well. But is Silver Surfer your number one cameo you would want to see
in
from these
Infinity
new,
War from the new ones.
yes, from these new franchises that are coming in?
Maybe. I've always kind of. I'm not a huge I don't know all his whole history, but I've always liked even though he's such a simple design, I've always thought he looked awesome. And that was a big thing for me when I was a kid. So he looked awesome. So if they could get him into this movie, and that would be a big thing for me. Yeah.
This kind of ties into just lastly, it all ties into sort of the ugly part of this deal, and that is for at least for fans, is that we're not going to see any concrete
Yeah.
casting announcements or cameos or this and that for years. That's my guess.
Now, as we were just kind of discussing before we started recording here, we don't really know if the Avatar is going to go over. Like I've read yes, and I guess you've read no, so that's kind of up in the air.
Hmm.
And the Simpsons, is there going to be a Simpsons world at Disneyland? We don't know, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think they are, but we don't know, and the deal isn't set in stone. I want to ask you this though, Chris, and I'll tell you how I feel. Has the excitement for this deal died down because it's just taken so damn long?
Yeah, the business side of things, I think everyone's tired of that. Let's get them in the movies and get on.
Yeah, it just been
Right.
this whole marriage has just taken so long that it's like the 5-year engagement is just like gonna
So-
happen. Yeah.
So for me, I mean, the good, obviously, we get potentially X-Men, Fantastic Four into that universe and expand it and do some good things there. Bad for me is losing some of the actors that we know, right? Or potentially, I guess I'm speculating, but I'm guessing we're going to lose Michael Fassbender, as I mentioned, and the Ugly. I hope they just don't screw it up. I wasn't a huge fan of Spider-Man: Homecoming. As
Oh,
I
no.
mentioned, I'm kind of a Spider-Man fanboy, so
Actually,
I
I've
hope
never
they
spoken
don't.
to you about it. Okay.
We can save that for another show. If you want to rant, you can rant about The Last Jedi, and I'll rant about
Okay.
Spider-Man:
Okay.
Homecoming. But I didn't like it. I thought they really. I think he's almost unrecognizable as Spider-Man, and I hope they don't do that with the X-Men. Like
All right.
change Wolverine into some different kind of character than he really
Okay.
is, right?
In some future episode, we're gonna have a debate on that.
Yeah.
Spider-Man
We will. Mine's totally irrational fanboy hate. So, you'll
Yeah.
probably win the debate.
Well, I don't think fanboy or fangirl, critiques are ever irrational. I think there's always some good points to them. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear what you say. So in some future episode, we'll have to talk about that.
Okay, so speaking of X-Men,
Hmm.
Sideshow has been
Yes.
coming in hot and heavy with their X-Men lineup.
Yeah.
We can take
Yeah.
a look at some of them here.
Yeah, we should. So yeah, I mean, I guess one by one, Sideshow is like teasing statues from their X-Men line, their new X-Men line, I should say. And as we go through each of these photos here, I think the broad question is this sort of redemption time for Sideshow? There were issues with their previous or the very first X-Men line, some of the statues, Rogue's painted eyes and the mixed media fabric on Wolverine and Sabretooth. And do you think that Sideshow is doing a good job now of sort of fixing those issues and sort of redeeming themselves with these characters?
Well, as we're kind of looking through here, I think the one thing about their previous X-Men lines is they never really finished it off. They had a lot of characters on the X bases, like Gambit and
Yeah.
Rogue and Colossus and stuff, and then they
Yeah.
would have some on an environmental base, and you had Cyclops and like Storm, right, where it's standing on rocks and stuff.
Yep.
So you couldn't really place them together. So I think people were kind of left wanting a little bit, right?
Yeah.
They're
sure.
like, give me my finished X-Men line.
Yeah.
So in that regard, these new ones seem to be sort of on a unified theme. Sentinel and Danger Room, I guess.
Yeah. I agree.
And
I
they
think
look
Sorry,
way
go ahead.
better. They look way better than the older ones. I gotta
Yeah.
say, some of the older pieces are looking a little dated.
Outdated for sure. But I want to say this as a fan of the original Sideshow line. Like I am a fan. I have quite a few of those pieces, and so I am a fan of them. But they are, a bit outdated.
Yeah, I've got Gambit, and I really like Gambit.
I have Gambit. Would you say that Gambit is your favorite from the old Sideshow line?
Yeah. For sure.
Me too. I would say that's.
And so here's some more new ones. X-23.
Mhm.
Got a lot of people excited. Now this one here, I saw it in person and she was basically right next to Rogue. And Rogue is a maquette, as we know, $715 US. And it says here on this poster, X-23 is a premium format figure, right? So
Yeah.
to me, seeing them side by side, I looked at them, I thought, okay, what gives here? What makes, because the maquette of Rogue so much more complicated than this X-23. I thought she looked, equally
Yeah.
as complex.
And I believe Magneto is classified as a
Yeah,
maquette as well.
yeah. Well, first he was a premium format, right? Do you remember?
Yes, and then when they made the revisions, he came out as a
Yes.
maquette.
Oh, it costs us more money now, so yeah.
That's what I was saying too. Well, it's funny you asked that question about, maquette versus premium format, and why is X-23 premium format? And because someone had asked that same question, a collector asked that same question on I think the last Sideshow live show, and
okay.
and even Susan, the host, had a bit of difficulty explaining. She did a good job though. She was mentioning how maquette is the bases and the sort of the arrangement of those statues is a bit more complex.
Okay,
So-
they can go with that, but as I said, I think X-23 looked to me, and I just saw her briefly,
Yeah.
like she could be as on that same level. So I want to see her price next to Rogue.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious. But here's the team of what's
Yeah.
been up for pre-order so far. So out of these, which one do you like the best?
I like Rogue the best. Then again, I'm still a bit, I'm still a bit biased towards that character.
She's cool.
So
Yeah.
I like her. So that obviously influences my decision. But I think Rogue. And I do love the Wolverine. So
Yeah, and you
There's-
have it.
how
We
about-
showed
yeah.
your photo off the top there.
yeah. How about you though? Like, what are your? If you had to pick two statues from.
From these 5,
Mhm.
is there 5? Yeah. It'd be Rogue and Wolverine probably.
Okay.
I like the Magneto. I know a lot of people don't like it,
I like
but
it too.
I like it. I don't love the cloth capes, but I could live with it, I guess. I like the helmet. The helmet I think looks good, and that for Magneto that's big.
I like they showed the unmasked portrait as
Yeah.
well for Magneto. I actually liked it. Didn't they have it did you see it at San Diego?
Yeah.
When you were there at the San Diego Comic? Yeah.
Yeah, that was what they had. I was hoping it was going to be the helmet, but they have some exclusive to sell, I think. So you're going to throw
Okay.
that one on. And they've teased, of course. Here's Cable. We haven't seen much of him. They've shown an art print with him and Deadpool, and I wonder
That's
if
right.
I should have put that up here, but I wonder if it'll look like that. And I think it's the Gore group that's doing it, so it'll be big and beefy statue for sure.
Yeah.
And the other tease is the Juggernaut. People wanted Juggernaut forever. It's taken them forever to get to this guy. And he's a maquette, so we know it's going to be expensive. We know he's going to be huge, and I think that's a Will Harbottle piece.
I haven't checked. I didn't check. Is it?
I think it is.
That's pretty cool if it is.
So yeah, I think he's probably there. Well, him and Daniel Bell probably my two favorite Sideshow sculptors.
Yeah.
So when I hear Will Harbottle, I think, okay, that's going to be cool.
I agree, and he's the guy also that's taken a lot of I guess risk and been a bit more like original with his designs, because he did the Deadpool, he did the Lady Deadpool. So in terms of action and dynamic, so if we were going to place a bet on the Juggernaut, let's place a bet on the height. What are you thinking? Over 30 inches?
For the height,
Yeah.
it looks like he's kind of leaning.
He's leaning
forward.
down.
I'm going to say 26 inches.
Leaning down. Okay.
What do you think?
I think it's going to be closer to 30, only because most of their premium formats are about 25. I don't know, like 20. Well, maybe 24 to 27, around that.
Yeah.
And they want to make him really huge, so they want him to tower over whatever X-Men statue that you're going to display him with. So I'm guessing closer to 30.
So are you expecting a Thanos price range for Juggernaut?
For yes.
Yes.
I think
I
close
think
to.
anybody who thinks it's going to be less than $1,000 is kidding.
I don't think.
themselves.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be as much as Thanos. I think that was a special character and a special design. But
Yeah.
I think yes, I think it'll be pushing 1,000. And
Yeah, but every time it's like people are like, they do the teasers and people are like, oh my god, Juggernaut, I gotta have it. And then the price comes out, right? Oh my god, Sideshow, they're crazy. What are they doing? I'm priced out, and then they all buy it. That's the process every time, it seems like.
yeah.
So another anyways, Sideshow, are they redeeming themselves with this new line? What do you think?
I think they are. I think that I think the chances that they're taking and are good chances, or good sort of a direction that they're taking, and I like it.
I like most of them. I'm not a big fan of the Mystique. I'm not a big fan of the Psylocke. She looked, again, I saw her and she looked really good from neck down. And I liked the color. I liked her hair with the little bit of purple in it, it looked like.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of the face, and I don't like that it's almost identical to the previous one, pose-wise.
Yes, it is. Yeah, with her holding the gun down, and
Yeah, I think she could have, looking at Rogue and looking at X-23, they could have been a lot more dynamic with her and her swords and stuff.
yeah. I like
so
the fact that they made her exclusive, sort of part of her powers, right?
with the hand thing. Is
Yeah,
that the
the hand.
exclusive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I think I like the look of most of them. I think they're improvement on all these old characters. For me, they can't redeem themselves until they finish a line. And for X-Men, I mean, for me means Iceman, it means Nightcrawler, and Archangel. You got to have those guys in there, or Angel, or whatever.
Yep. If you had to choose one of those three you mentioned, because right off the top you mentioned those three, I'm thinking my top would be Nightcrawler from those three you mentioned.
Nightcrawler's probably my favorite X-Men. I love him and his sword fighting and his powers. I mean, he's awesome. So he'd probably be number one. Iceman, XM's doing Iceman. I can live with what they've done. I really like that one.
Me too.
But Archangel would be cool. He's never really been done. I can have the big wings and stuff. I've always liked his design too. So, they're halfway there for me.
Mhm.
So we'll go into another big line that's been revealed recently, is XM's 16DC line.
Mm-hmm.
So first piece of that has gone up for pre-order, and it's the Joker. So what do you think of this one?
I love the design.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect for 6 scale. It's very complex. This is what you want in a 6 scale because you really couldn't do this. Yeah, in like quarter scale, third scale.
Too
So
big.
yeah, so utilize the size of 6 scale, and you could put a lot more on there. I like it. What do you think?
I do like it a lot. I guess uh, 1/6 scale is definitely not as popular, at least in the where I frequent, the groups that I frequent. Right? It's how many times do you hear, "Oh, I wish it was 1/4," right? Right?
True.
I hate that, but
Yeah.
I like statues of all sizes, so this one looks nice.
Yeah.
I think the concept design is by Aryo Inandito.
Okay.
He's an Indonesian comic artist. We'll call him a friend of the show. Hopefully, he's a friend of the show.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's his design. He does a lot of the design work on some of these lines.
Okay.
Now, my question for you, while we're on the Joker, is: do you think that he was the right statue to lead off with for this line?
To me, yes, I do.
Yeah.
As long as it's an A character, it didn't really matter from what DC franchise. As long as it's an A character, I think that was fine to start off with. It could have been any of the other A. It could have been a Superman. It could have been. It doesn't matter as long as it's an A. And I consider Joker an A character. So yeah, I do.
He's an A character. I wonder if, because Tweeterhead's got their line, their 1/6 line,
Yeah.
and their Joker is set to come out, like be
This
released
month.
soon, right?
Mhm.
And it's cheaper for the U.S. or the North American people, right? So I wonder if the price, because XM's, I'm sure it's totally worth it, but people are going to look at the price and say, well, I can get this Tweeterhead Joker for $150 less or whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
So do you think that that's going to scare some people off, seeing the price, and just because there's immediately there's a competition for it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think the price range of Tweeterhead is more attractive to many collectors. So I think that they would probably sell more just because of price range. It's just more attractive, and they can get more impulse buys. Absolutely. I have one Tweeterhead statue. I have that Harlequin,
Oh yeah, you like
and
it?
it's produced extremely well. It's painted really well. So they do they do good stuff. But one thing I noticed when you were showing the Joker, I mean, XM Studios, though, they're throwing in so many different accessories to go along with that statue. So maybe that's their justification, obviously, for the
Yeah.
difference in price. But just to answer your question, yes, I can see Tweeterhead selling a bit more purely on price. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, I think the Tweeterheads are also open edition. The XM will have that limited edition.
I don't think
Stigma?
Tweeterhead is it?
No, I don't know. I thought that they kind of leave it open to order, and I don't know.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that,
I'm
but
pretty sure they're. I know. Well, one thing we know for sure is that they have a higher ES, no matter what, than XM would for sure.
yeah,
So you're right. I think the XM piece would be more of a collectible in that aspect. Yeah.
yeah, and it's cool. But for me, I think I would have led off with this one here, Wonder Woman. I think again, I'm speculating, but she looks smaller, less complex than the Joker. I think that her price point, I'm hoping, is a little bit less than Joker's,
Oh, that's true.
and that might have drawn people into the line quicker.
Right. Right.
And they'll see. I mean, look at I love that Wonder Woman.
I
think
love
it's
it. This
fantastic.
is the 1/6 that I want to get from XM for sure. Is this Wonder Woman? But then again, maybe there's more fans of Joker than there is of Wonder Woman. I don't know.
Possibly, yeah. You
Yeah.
could be right there. But I think she looks fantastic there.
I love it. I think they nailed it. And I love the helmet. I love how they did that helmet. It's not too big.
Yeah.
It looks perfect on her. It has that sort of yeah, that look of
The Greek feel, right?
the Greek feel.
Yeah,
Exactly, that's the word I was
yeah,
looking for.
yeah. And sculpted by Martin Augusta, who's he's kind of their chief female sculptor these days.
Okay.
And he's
What
awesome.
else? What else did he do for them?
He did well, this one here over
The
my
poison
shoulder.
ivy.
Yeah, Poison
I love
Ivy.
his statue.
So he did her. What else is that? He For females, I can't think. I'm drawing a blank. But he also did their Wolverine and Mysterio. So
Oh wow.
he's been with them for a while, but he's doing most of their females. It seems like.
Okay.
And yeah, this looks awesome. I think
It does.
I think it's a really good mix of, like, she looks very pretty, very nice
Yeah.
face, but I mean you see the muscles in her legs and her arms and things without
Yeah.
being too butchy. I think it's a really good mix
Yeah.
for that one.
But I mean, do you think? I mean, I know that a lot of collectors like you and I who collect quarter scale, we kind of sometimes we stay away from 6 scale. But do you find that 6 scale is sort of making a small comeback because of the prices?
I hope it does, to be honest. I do like the 6 scale. I mean, you can't see it on the screen here, but I mean, right above me is my whole Daredevil collection, and it's mostly smaller scale stuff. And so I have a lot of them. I really like them. And I've got, just above me here, I think I have 20 Daredevil statues, like in this small space. And you can see over my shoulder, I have like 6 1/4 scale ones, right? So they take up so much less space, and you can collect more, right?
Yeah.
I'm never going to stop collecting. I'm always going to be buying stuff. I can't stop. I've admitted it.
I'm there too.
So I hope it does.
Yeah.
Here's a couple more from the line: The
Okay.
Flash, Green Lantern.
Yeah, I love that Green Lantern.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick a character from DC that's my favorite, it's probably Green Lantern.
Okay.
And so,
And why is that?
honestly, I kind of came into him more as an adult. As a kid, I thought, oh, he sucks. Like, he's lame. His stupid ring, like that. And he didn't have a mask. He didn't really have a full mask, right? He had the little half mask thing. And I thought he sucked. But I started reading the Jeff Johns Green Lantern series.
Okay.
Have you read that?
No.
And I started with the Blackest Night event. This was several years ago. Came out, and that was sort of partway through his run on Green Lantern, and it was his huge event. So I thought, okay, I'll pick it up, and I started reading it. And I ended up reading the whole series. It's 3 omnibus books.
Yeah. I heard like that's one of the best storylines.
It was
For the character.
awesome. It's
Yeah.
They sort of bring in all the different colored lanterns. So you see the orange, blue, green, of course, yellow, with Sinestro, and a really cool story. So I'm really excited for that. Flash I like as well, but I have to wait and see this one finished with the treadmill and stuff. But Wonder Woman and Green Lantern definitely have me intrigued by this line for sure. And here's another teaser from Sang at XM on his Facebook page. Superman. I don't think they've shown the full concept, so it's a bit of a surprise, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They haven't teased the whole render yet, so.
But this looks cool. I mean, you got the logo on the back of the cape. It's obviously, you got some dynamic wind flow there. So I think that'll be cool, and I think that's going to be at their upcoming STGCC. That's not an easy acronym. STG. See, you need to get rid of a letter, I think.
I think they're showing it at. Are they showing it at New York, or they're leaving Superman for?
Well, New York is after, so I think we'll have seen it
okay.
first. Yeah.
Gotcha. So Singapore. Okay, gotcha.
So what do you think? Do you think the XM line, 1/6 scale line, is it going to be a success? What do you think?
I think it is. I think it's going to bring it's going to be sort of an entry level for those who never want to spend the money on the quarter scale XM stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think basically the price is going to be a bit more attractive. So I think, and they're doing well. I think they're utilizing that size properly. They're making those pieces really complex, something that they couldn't do in quarter scale.
Yeah. I hope it is. I really hope. Like as I said, I'm not sure Joker was the right one to start with, and I hope that doesn't. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it sells really well. But if it doesn't, I hope that doesn't change their direction with the rest of it. Because I really, as I said, I love that Wonder Woman, and I love the Green Lantern. They look great, and I don't have the 1/4 scale DCs anymore. I started to collect those, and I just figured I don't have room. Like I got too much Spider-Man crap. So DC 1/6, that's where it's going to be at for me. So I hope it does. So at the opposite end of the spectrum, we're just finished talking 1/6. Let's talk Prime 1. The other, one of the big events for them is Wonder Festival. It's held in Tokyo. It's twice a year, actually. There's a winter edition and a summer edition. I was at the winter one. It's a really cool event. But the winter one, they seem to have a smaller presence there. They had a booth, but it was smaller than what they had here. But just so people kind of get a feel for what Wonder Festival is. Like the fans that go there don't really care about the Prime 1 stuff as much. There's 3 big halls at this event center, and there's one hall that's all retail, like Prime 1's in there, Kotobukiya's in there, a bunch of Japanese companies are in there. But what people go for is these custom garage kits, and there's two other halls filled with this custom stuff that you just would never see anywhere, and it's only a 1-day event. It is impossible to get through it all. I tried.
wow.
I tried, and I just I can't go anymore. I'm done.
Oh, wow.
So let's take a look at some of the stuff that they showed at
Yeah.
Summer Wonder Festival. So we'll start off with
I'm gonna start. Yeah, you're gonna start with my favorite that was from Prime 1 that was shown.
okay. I should have saved it for last, I guess, but
No, that's cool. Let's start with my favorite. This one, I actually like this more than the Sideshow version, which I love the Sideshow version. I think that's. But I like this one actually more. I like his facial expression a bit more. I love the chain just wrapped around his arm. Just from an artistic point of view, I prefer this one. But then this sort of ties into the question, I guess, that we want to ask is, does size matter? Because I think that Prime 1, and I guess we're going to look at other photos from them, but I think they had an excellent showing at this recent Wonderfest. I think it's probably their best showing, I at least from my point of view.
they had some. Yeah.
But I'm not getting any of the statues because of the size.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I mean, look at this Lobo. It looks beautiful, right? I mean, and we'll give a shout out to Kelvin Locke. These are his photos I stole from Facebook page, from the Prime 1 group, and yeah, I mean, it looks great, right? But I don't know if does he come with 1 or 2? There was 2 dolphins beside him. I don't know if he comes with 1 or 2.
Oh.
You see the dolphin there?
Yeah, we can see it.
But he had 1 on both sides, and if he comes with both of these dolphins, like
It's 2 boxes.
That's huge, right? 2 boxes for sure.
It's gonna come in 2 boxes for sure.
But he looked cool. One of the pieces that had me kind of excited was this one. Big Game Predator.
Yeah.
So they've got the comic book Predator license, it sounds like. And this one, the comic in the middle there, I picked that one up when I was a kid. I still have it. But I love these comics because it was kind of like they were so gory and like all kinds of blood and stuff in them. And so I was just, I was a little kid and I thought I was doing something, dangerous by getting these things, right? Like hiding them from my mom and dad. Like didn't let them see I had these Predator comics with all this blood and stuff. But not like they would have really cared. But I felt like I was being a badass. So this of course is still 3rd scale. I think this one's 1/4.
Oh, okay. So then they got the 1/4 scale license for this. Okay.
For the comic book ones, I think. I could be wrong. Here's some more.
Okay.
So this is one that I'm not as familiar with jumping with the spear.
Okay.
Do you know what this one's from?
No, I don't.
and then the Alien, of course,
Yeah,
next
that's
door.
cool.
If you like these two franchises? Are you a fan?
It's funny you say that. So I'm more of a fan of the Alien franchise. I'm a huge fan. I still remember when the first movie came out. Not
Yeah,
not not to age myself,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I remember the first movie came out. So I'm a big fan of the franchise. It has, at least in my view, it hasn't prospered recently with the recent films. But Predator, I've never really been into. Um, I do appreciate the art of that Predator character. But one thing too, I'm noticing as you're showing those Predator statues from Wonderfest, I love the fact that all these different statue companies have different Predator licenses. I mean,
Yeah,
we're seeing, XM, Sideshow, because it just in terms of for the customer and the collector,
yeah. They can't all be doing the same
they can't all be doing the
Predator
same.
over and
But
over.
I think it means that every company has to step up their game, right? And they can't
Yeah,
afford to really screw up on it. So
that's a good point because I think a few collectors out there will get all of them or most of them, but for me, I'm gonna get one Predator. Right, that's all I've got room for, and so which one's it gonna be, right?
yeah.
So they have to get customers like me, which I think there's a lot of people out there who would want one Predator or one Alien. Um, but I'm kind of the opposite. I'm more of a Predator guy. The original Predator movie, again, me like we were in, I don't know what grade we were in, like grade 4 or something like this.
Hmm.
We'd go up the 5-star movies that was down a few blocks from our house would let us rent whatever we wanted, so we could rent all these R-rated movies and watch them. And so Predator was one of our favorites. I loved it. But Aliens, that's the sequel. Do you remember the scene? Um, they're walking down the tunnel in the spaceship, and there's that lady stuck to the wall.
Yeah, I mean when they found the colonists,
I think so.
and yeah, and she was stuck, and then she said, "Save me."
And then the thing comes out, right?
Yes, yes, and she said, "Save
Okay.
me." So basically, they found the colonists, and then the colonists were being incubated, and yeah.
I,
Hmm.
that movie was on TV, I think. I don't know how old I was, but I was pretty young, and I watched this thing, and it scared the shit out of me. Like just, I've never really liked Aliens since then.
Oh, seriously, eh? Because you were.
It's still scarring for me, even though I've seen all the Alien movies. I do like them, but they're not.
Well, I'll tell you my impression of that scene and Aliens was, um, when I watched Aliens, it was one of those first films I saw where um, everything is going okay in the beginning, and they have a handle on stuff, and then all hell breaks loose
Yeah,
when they finally meet the aliens, and they've got like these armored Marines, and they couldn't handle it. Like they got their butt kicked,
yeah.
and that scene for me is the most memorable when they got their butt kicked, and it's like, and then you have Bill Paxton going, "It's game over, man."
Yeah.
That
Classic,
to
classic.
me, and I'm a big film fan, and I watch tons of movies, but that I think James Cameron did the best there in terms of all hell breaking loose. Like for me, that scene was just all hell breaking loose. You've got these trained Marines, and they couldn't handle it, and they just got the it's
Yeah,
so. And that's probably and that's on my top 10 list of favorite films, I would say.
yeah. For me, like for Predator, going back there, um, like the scene at the beginning where him and I'll call him Apollo. I forget what his name was in the movie. Carl Weathers.
Hmm.
When they shake hands and they flex. You know that scene?
Yeah. Yes.
To me, I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome, right? So I was sold. Like from
I
that
read
part
some
on.
background. I read some background sort of stories on that movie, and Arnold and Carl Weathers, they had this like behind the scenes rivalry on working out.
Oh yeah, probably.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so they used to lie and say, "Oh, today," because during the filming they were always working out after shooting, but they would lie and say, "Oh, no, no, I'm not doing any workout tonight or something," when they would like secretly go away and work out. and
Get
they had
Jack.
this like friendly like rivalry, yeah, because they all want to look Jack for the film, right?
Yeah,
So-
they did for sure. Okay, so here's some more that we'll look at. This is pretty popular one here, the Dark Knight Master Race Batman. What do you think of this one?
I love this piece, and it once again it kind of goes to our question: does size matter? For me, size matters because unfortunately, I love everything about this statue, but it's just for my own personal taste, it's just too big. But
Well,
I love it.
and you look at it, I mean, his cape's flowing out one way, and they got that wing on the gargoyle going out the other way. It's
Yeah.
gonna take up a pretty
Yeah.
big chunk.
Yep, and when we say big, it's not just height. I mean, as you're pointing out there, we're talking about length and depth.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Height you can deal with, or at least I can. I have kind of some open shelves that I can put them on. So it's not the height, but it's the base.
Yeah,
Is-
because
you-
then it turns into like you can only put that on a table, I guess, or
Yeah, like I saw when I was at the Wonder Festival in the winter, they had the Hush line
Yep.
on display and beautiful statues.
Mhm.
But like the Superman, for example, his base is enormous, and
I heard.
and I think unnecessarily enormous. It's like they're doing it just because. I don't know where I'd put it. I'd love to
I
have
heard-
that Superman.
yeah. So
But-
you actually saw it in person.
Yeah, and I thought, and my wife was beside me. She's like, "Don't get that." Like, I'm like, "Don't worry. Like, where would we even think of putting it? Like, it's gigantic."
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because any family member of a collector, I think that's their worst nightmare.
Yeah,
Like that statue is like, no, you cannot get that. I heard someone was mentioning that Hush Superman is like bigger than their big screen TV. Like it's just massive.
It-
I think it looks great.
it's a
But-
fantastic looking piece. I really
Yeah.
like the Batman and the Poison Ivy too, but they're huge. They're just too big, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
I would have loved that I like the Poison Ivy's portrait from Prime One. I would have loved that Poison Ivy if it was 6 scale.
yeah, exactly. It was really nice for a comic book Poison Ivy. I think that's the one, right?
Yep.
So here's Deathstroke.
I think that looks amazing.
Yeah, he was a kind of a surprise reveal at the event.
Mm-hmm.
He looks cool. And I don't know, is this a game, or it says Batman Nightfall in the background? So maybe this is a comic book.
It could be. Is it the comic book version?
It looks like a comic book mask.
Yeah.
It's more the cloth mask than the armored one. So I think it looks cool. I like the two swords pose.
And I love that. Yeah, I like the 2. Yeah, looks good.
Another big one. This was at San Diego as well, but I'm not familiar with the Dark Knight Metal series. But I
Me
mean,
neither.
look at that middle. It reminds me of the mouth of Sauron from Lord of the Rings. You remember that?
Yeah.
With the mouth. So it's cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. It looks awesome, but I think it's kind of a niche piece.
Yes.
Really. And then another movie franchise, Pennywise. Have you seen it?
Yes, I loved it.
Yeah, it was really good. So on the right there, we've got the Elite Creature Collectibles one.
Hmm.
And it's kind of funny that they're almost identical.
They are.
Um,
But the portraits look a little bit different.
yeah,
Right.
that one's kind of the more monstrous portrait
With
for
the pose.
ECC, but they have a
Yes.
switch out, right? So you can have the
Right.
classic.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the licensor is restricted. Yeah, I think it is. That they couldn't possibly have copied each other, right? They're a little
you
bit different. The balloons in the different hand, and one has grass, one doesn't, but
Okay.
essentially the same thing, right?
So your theory is that they're almost the same because that was sort of a restriction placed by the licensor?
That's my guess, because Iron
Okay.
Studios also has a 1/10 Pennywise.
And it's
And-
almost the same.
It's the same scene where he's holding the
Wow.
balloon like that.
That's
So
a good point.
I wonder if I don't know who owns the license, Stephen King or whatever. I wonder if they're just like maybe here's 3 different things you can choose from, or
Maybe.
we want it to be just protecting the image, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the one that was different, I don't have a picture of it, is Tweeterhead. Did you see theirs?
Okay. No, I did not.
He's kind of perched on top of I don't know what it is, but he's kind of kneeling and perched on top of this thing, and it looks really good. 1/6 scale. So that's a piece I'm interested in.
Okay.
Because I like the movie as well.
Yeah.
And then another kind of big reveal, I think, is this one. I think this one's been in development for a while.
Mm-hmm. And big is right.
Optimus Prime with the jetpack movie version.
Did you catch the price on this? I think someone posted it was $3,500.
I think it's $3,200.
Is it 32? Okay.
And the one outside, maybe there's an exclusive version that's more.
Okay.
But it's over 3K. It's over 3K.
Yes.
And,
Wow.
I mean, it looks great, right?
Yeah.
If you're a Transformers guy or girl. But look at that, 36.7 inches tall.
That's huge.
And I looked up the other stats. It's like 28 inches wide and 24 inches deep.
Wow.
So does size matter? Yeah, I think that
Yeah, I think so.
I think Prime 1 is really, and maybe it's just the licenses they got. I don't know what it is. I think that
I
they're
guess. I mean, I guess that's that's license they get. I would, to give them credit. I mean, I would call them the king of 1/3 scale. I mean, they have the license. They have the license, and they excel in the sculpt, design, paint of these statues. So they are definitely the king of 1/3, and they made themselves that. I mean,
they
they've
started
earned that title.
right.
Yeah,
They started it. Statue Awards been going on 4 years. They've won that category every year, and easily won it every year. So, but I think they're like, how many people can have all of these? Like, you can have maybe one, right?
That's what I'm thinking. It's almost like you would buy one as your like prestige statue.
Yeah.
Just that one centerpiece statue, 1/3 piece.
I mean, if they did a Daredevil, let's say Daredevil 1/3 scale, I'd have to have it, right? But I don't think I could have more than one of these things. They're too big. So, last topic, San Diego Comic-Con. That was I think 2 weekends ago. This is it's kind of the marquee convention for nerds, right? It's really become I don't think it's the biggest in terms of attendees. I think there are bigger ones, but it's the biggest in terms of hype, I think, for sure. So I think DC made a big splash at the event there with their Aquaman trailer. They revealed
I like the pun there.
Yeah. So let's check out the Aquaman trailer and see what, and we'll talk about that after. So let's check it out.
My father was a lighthouse keeper. My mother was a queen. But life is a way of bringing people together.
We could unite our worlds one day.
Check it out. Arthur is talking to the fish.
They made me what I am. Permission to come aboard?
I've been looking for you. Your half-brother, King Orm, is about to declare war upon the surface world. The only way to stop this war is for you to take your rightful place as king.
Trust me, I am no king.
You do your best thinking when you're not thinking at all.
That was the worst pep talk ever.
You might want to strap in. Welcome home.
My brother has come from the surface to challenge me for the throne.
I call it an ass whooping. I'm no leader. I came because I have no choice. I came to save my home and the people that I love.
You think you're unworthy to lead because you're of two different worlds. But that is exactly why you are worthy.
That was awesome.
The war is coming to the surface, and I'm bringing the wrath of the seven seas with me.
We're here.
What are you doing?
You should have a parachute.
Redheads! You gotta love them.
Oh, sorry, I had us muted there for a second. There's the trailer for Aquaman.
So what do you think, Kris?
I'm kind of excited for this movie. I think Jason Momoa. I think he's maybe a little more badass looking than the Aquaman in the comics, but I like it. I like that they've gone for that Polynesian ethnicity for him. I think that works really well for Aquaman. So I think it looks really cool, and I like if I could say I have a comic book crush, it's Mira, his girlfriend, or his the redhead. I think Amber Heard, really cool character. If you want a strong female character that really kicks some ass, I mean that's one for sure.
I mean, I think that is it just me, or does it seem that they put a lot more money and effort in the CGI on this film than they did with the Justice League? Like the CGI looks pretty good at this. Like they show like,
does,
okay,
yeah.
we have more faith in this movie.
Justice
It's almost
League.
like the studios like, we have more faith in this movie, so here's an extra 50 million on.
It didn't make any sense, did it? It looked terrible, the Justice League.
Because they had no faith in that movie. They're like,
the mustache thing was hilarious, and its opening scene for the movie. It's like, what's wrong with Superman, right?
I didn't understand. I mean, so first thing I thought about the trailer was, wow, they're putting a lot of effort and money and time into the CGI, and to me it looked really nice. Second thing I really enjoyed was that they're sort of incorporating an origin story into it, which I think was pretty cool. And then the reason why I think it was cool is because it sort of ties into my third thing, was that, is this going to be on the same, first thing I thought was, is this going to be on the same quality as Wonder Woman? I mean, it's almost like following the same formula, right?
I hope so. I hope it is.
I mean, that's a good thing, yeah. Could this be the next Wonder Woman in terms of success for DC and Warner Brothers?
I hope so. I hope it is, because I like the Aquaman, and again, Aquaman's kind of like Green Lantern. I kind of came to be a fan of him a lot later. Actually, New 52, which isn't that long ago, right? That's when Jeff Johns again kind of took over his story, and we'll take a look at that. So I've got the comic book versions of Black Manta and Orm, or Ocean Master is his code name. There, and you can see, in the middle is the movie poster from Comic-Con, and it looks like they're sticking with the look from these comics pretty closely,
especially with the Black Manta. Yeah,
Black Manta. I'm surprised, to be honest. I thought, because he's got kind of that strange looking helmet, I thought they'd try to change that.
They would have if Zack Snyder was directing it,
probably.
But you're right, they kept it.
But he looks there. Ocean Master, that cover there on the right, Ocean Master, I actually have the original art for that cover.
Oh, wow.
It's hanging on the wall behind me here. The artist that drew it, I realized when I was at Comic-Con meeting with the Iron Studios guys, because they're all Portuguese, and the artist is Portuguese. Apparently, you say R's as an H.
Okay.
Did you know this? I didn't know this.
No, I did not.
His first name's Ivan, and his last name is spelled R-E-I-S. Like, how would you say that?
R-E-I-S. Reese?
Yeah, I always said like rice.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
But it's Hayes. Ivan Hayes. Is
Oh,
how you say his
okay.
name. I didn't know this. So, anyways, I like that they're sticking. It looks like they're sticking close to the comics in terms of look. But and even more so, here's a couple statues from Iron Studios that were shown at Comic-Con, and that Black Manta, that was kind of the first. They had to get special permission from Warner Brothers to show that.
Because the trailer had just come out,
The
right?
trailer hadn't come out yet, right?
Oh, okay.
And so they had to get special permission to show that. That's the movie suit. And Aquaman, you'll notice he's got the classic orange chainmail or scale mail. It's gonna be scale mail on his for armor, and he looks really cool. That statue, the two together look really cool, and I really like the orange armor. I'm curious. I'm kind of curious where the timeline is for this movie. Is it
You mean in
before-
terms of? I mean, like before Justice League, where it falls through, like where it falls in?
Yeah, like because this orange armor, did it come before or after his Justice League armor, which was kind of dull?
Right.
I like the orange one better. It looks really good.
I think it looks good. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen some close-up shots of that statue. It looks really good.
So DC had a pretty big event. Obviously, they had the whole cast of Aquaman there. They paraded them through the halls and stuff, and had the big Hall H panel. But where was Marvel at Comic-Con? What did they do? Can you recall? Like, do you know?
I've heard, that they want to have sort of their own previews and trailer announcements for their own conferences now. So, which I think is smart, and I actually think it's a good thing for the San Diego Comic-Con. And the reason why is because it allows. Remember, San Diego Comic-Con and all Comic-Cons under the same umbrella is is the comics, the movies, the artist. It's this whole collection of all this. When with the success of the Marvel movies, when that happened, San Diego Comic-Con became purely the Marvel Cinematic Universe spearhead, because and not as fault is that's Marvel's not the fault of that, but it's just because the media was just kept only covering Marvel at San Diego Comic-Con. So now with Marvel gone, and now all these other artists and all these other studios and comic book releases and so forth can now shine and show that, well, Comic-Con is this entire collection of different pop culture.
So you think they're pulling out of Comic-Con, or do you think they'll be back, or do you think they didn't have much ready to show, or?
No, I think no. I think they pulled out. If I had to take a guess, they pulled out in terms of a PR thing, and then they're going to make all their announcements. Is it for the D23 or whatever it's called?
D23, I think. Maybe. I mean, if it's that, then fine. But I think they could have pieced together something. They could have had, Captain Marvel's coming out. They could have had a 30-second clip. They could have had.
Here's the joke I heard about that. Someone was making a joke. Well, wouldn't it be funny if Marvel released their Captain Marvel trailer right when DC released in Hall H their Aquaman trailer?
Yeah, I mean, they could have had. But
it would have just crushed. It would have just crushed the DC.
Yeah, in the past they've shown sort of unfinished clips, right? With the CGI and stuff not being totally done. And I personally think they could have just paraded out Brie Larson in her King Kong dress. King Kong. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
You haven't seen? Okay, so here's Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston from King Kong. So check this out.
Let me see this.
So they're on the red carpet here. Okay. It's like, okay, be strong, be strong, be strong, be strong. Oh, busted, right?
Oh, poor guy. It's gonna be up. That's gonna be up on the internet forever.
Yeah, I love that. It makes me laugh every time. But he's a rich, good-looking movie star, so he can do that.
Yeah, he can get away with it. He's
But
established. He can. Yeah.
but I mean, they could have done something if they wanted to, and so I think you're probably right. They probably are consciously not going there. I'll be curious to see if they have a presence next year.
Yeah. I mean, I can see them coming back eventually, or I don't know when, but yeah. I mean, to answer our question, I don't necessarily think that DC won this year because of Marvel. I just think that all the other studios and all the other franchises won. I think everyone else won, because now the media wasn't just covering purely Marvel.
Yeah, and it's such a huge event. As I mentioned, I was there briefly. I had been there once 8 years ago, and it wasn't quite as big. It was still big, but my wife and I, we didn't have any kids at the time. We thought, hey, why don't we go to Comic-Con? Just one day, and we were locked on and got tickets. Right, that's how it was back then, and it's like every year since then. The gong show of getting Comic-Con tickets, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So just to show you a bit of the gong show here, I was coming in this year. We were staying on a place called Coronado, which is it's a separate city, but it's right across San Diego Bay to the west, like directly back from the convention center, right?
Okay.
So I took a ferry from Coronado into downtown San Diego, and I come up behind the convention center, and there's this row of outhouses. Like, it must have been like 80 outhouses there, right?
Seriously.
And I'm thinking, like, don't they have bathrooms inside? Like, what's going on, right? So, anyways, I go inside, do my thing, and I come back out, and this is what I see here. It's the next day line
Next day.
Comic-Con. And they actually employ somebody to stand there at the back of this line and keep moving back with the line to tell people. This is at about 7:30 p.m. I took this picture the day before. This is the Wednesday night. These are people lining up to get into Hall H.
Hall H, yes, the famous Hall H line. Yeah.
At for the next day, so they're going to be in line for like 15 hours.
Well,
something.
yeah. So then they're not really their interest isn't really inside in Comic-Con. They want to see the big trailers and the PR releases from these studios, which is cool. That's their
But
that's
anyways,
their
that's what I suspect that's why the outhouses were there.
So,
Let's
oh
keep
yeah, I
it
was going to
clean.
ask you. So the outhouses just for them to use.
I think so.
Well, at least it's organized. It's
But Comic-Con is really that's the flagship event as collectors. That's the big event for Sideshow, and I think they're still the top dog in the industry of statue industry. So Sideshow's been kind of a big part of their business now is distributing other companies' stuff, and so the Sideshow booth isn't just Sideshow anymore. It's Sideshow, Iron Studios, Prime One. I think Blitzway was at their booth this year.
Tweeterhead, I think, as well.
Tweeterhead, Pop Culture Shock, so it's all there at this one booth. So, in speaking of the statues, we've all it's been out for a couple weeks. A couple weeks ago, I think we've all both had a chance to have a good look at them. So let's go through our top three from the event. Our top three statues from San Diego Comic-Con. And first for you is
the Alice in Wonderland, the J. Scott Campbell. Yeah, I mean it. Yeah, this is the one I've been waiting for. I did like his Mermaid, his Little Mermaid, and Tinkerbell, but this is the one I've been waiting for. It just looked a little bit more elaborate. I like the colors on this. I was waiting for it. They finally showed it at the San Diego Comic-Con, and I think it's great.
Are you a big fan of the Disney movie?
I am a big fan of just Alice in Wonderland, period, the book.
Oh, okay.
And I do like the Disney movie as well.
I forgot it was a book. Yeah, of course. I know it as the Disney movie. So for me, my number three is I'm going a little bit off the board here. It's a statue I had on pre-order ahead of time. It had come out before, but I was really impressed with it when I saw it, and it's Elektra. I ordered her because I'm a huge Daredevil fan and I wanted an Elektra forever, just to go with that theme, right? And I bought this because it's like, okay, it's a good looking Elektra, so I'll get it. But when I saw it, I was really impressed. The pose works a lot better in person than I thought it would, and I loved her skin tones. Like they really got that kind of caramel olive skin tone.
Right.
I just hope that the factories can do that, because that really
They've
that
been
was really
they've been
impressive.
pretty like really good, I would say. They meaning Sideshow on their skin tones on some of their recent statues. So hopefully they can reproduce that.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that you chose this statue because it's not getting because it was teased and shown quite a while ago. Obviously the buzz is just sort of worn off,
Yeah, and
which
so
happens with every statue, right?
it's a little bit off the board. There's one that I left off that I could easily have put number one on my list, but I chose her because, as I said, it really caught. I walked past it. I had to do a double take. Right, it was like,
Oh yeah.
way better than I thought.
Wow. So actually, Chris knows my choices, but I don't know Chris's. So this is all a surprise to me.
Right. So
Okay.
so number two on your list, and
Yeah.
I don't know whose photo this is, so I like to give credit for the photos. I don't know whose this is, so if it's yours,
We'll just say that
it's
it's a really good photographer.
Yeah.
'Cause it's a nice shot.
right.
Yeah, this is my second choice. I just love the pose. I think it's right from the comic books. I think they did a good job with Frank Miller. They meaning Prime One did a good job with Frank Miller Batman, the first one. This one I just like the pose even more. And
And
yeah.
so you notice here, I think he's got the yellow logo
Mhm.
on his chest, and I think at Wonder Festival they had the Frank Miller bat.
I heard it can change, right?
Yeah, I wonder if it's
Yeah.
a magnet or something.
Probably. Yeah, I heard that you can swap them out.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so.
But you said you're probably not going to get this piece.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. So I'm talking just in terms of, yeah. I mean, whether I'm going to get the piece or not, I want to give that statue credit where it's due, and I just think that this one blew me away. I was like, wow.
All right. So next up for me, I chose Lobo from Iron Studios.
Okay, I'm surprised.
Um, This one, Lobo's a cool character, right? Like I like the look of him. His comics are kind of edgy and stuff, and or they were at the time they came out originally, and he's a cool looking character. This one here, for me, if I was gonna get a Lobo statue, it'd probably be this one. I used to have the PF, and it kind of I had to get rid of it to make space for other stuff. 1/6 scale, as we talked about earlier, you could kind of fit it in a little easier.
Okay.
This one's maybe a little bigger than others because of the bike. It's got a big cloud of smoke on the back. But I like the two aliens. It's got the dog, the bike. It's got 3 different heads. So it kind of captures all the eras of Lobo.
So this is not part of their 1/10 line. This is 1/6.
This is 1/6. This is part of they have the diorama, the battle
Gotcha.
dioramas.
Yeah.
So it's part of that line. So it's still pretty big piece, but should be a little easier, I hope, to display. I don't know if I'm going to get it or not, but I did really like it. So number 1 for yourself. I think number 1 for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Rogue.
Is Rogue. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we were teased it. I think even before San Diego Comic-Con. I think we saw some teaser shots or whatever. But I just think it's so dynamic. It fits with her powers. It's to me, it's with her flying. It still fits the limits of a statue. Like it doesn't. I know with the Deadpool PF, that kind of the new Deadpool PF, that kind of stretched the limit of a statue. It was, but this, I think, it still fits the limit of a statue. It's great, and I think they kept what worked with the original Rogue PF. I mean, the colors are the same. They kept the fabric coat or fabric jacket. So they kept what worked with the original, and they just sort of upped the ante. So
Yeah, so this won't make for very compelling viewership here, but I'm going to choose the same thing. I had to pick Rogue too. I thought she was fantastic.
And you saw her in person, so
That's right. Yeah. So I only got I was in there for 30 minutes, right? I was had some very limited time inside, so I really only saw the Marvel stuff from Sideshow. So I'm mostly going off what I saw in person from their booth, and Rogue for me was their number 1. The one I left off was Thor. Thor was
Yeah,
really
that does
cool.
look good. It does look good. If I was a Thor fan, I would have. I mean, the price is pushing
Yeah.
the upper limits of. Is Thor considered a maquette now? I can't remember.
No, I think it's a
I
PF.
think it's still PF,
Yeah,
right?
so-
But it's pushing the limits there. But I think it was. I think it looks great. I'm not a Thor enthusiast, so I can easily withhold
Yeah.
myself. What I kept off the list, if I had to choose something that maybe is a bit off the grid as well, is the new Sideshow DC animated statues.
Oh yeah.
I think they look. I think they look amazing. I was hooked right away when I saw that. That was a huge surprise. They had never even mentioned they were doing it. No teasers, and that Wonder Woman I'm probably gonna get. I thought it was done
Yeah.
really well.
The Wonder Woman, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought Rogue looked great. There was lots of good stuff there. Lots of good stuff this year from Sideshow. So, anyways, Comic-Con in the books. First show in the books.
Yay!
Yay! It's been a long time coming, as we said. So, I guess quickly before we sign off here, what can you tell people what's coming up on your channel, Gina B Collecting?
In terms of videos, I have photo gallery video of Poison Ivy, and what else? And I have a full length review of the Red Sonja, the new Red Sonja from Sideshow Collectibles.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that one. She's nice. So XM Poison Ivy is coming up. You have her, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've got her. That'll be my next review. She's on the review table there, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Before I put her away. I don't know. I'm out of space. I don't know where she's gonna go, but I had to get it. I love the Japanese theme on her. So that's next for me. And then after that, I'm not sure. I might have some Figurama stuff coming up. So
Sounds good.
anyways, that's it. Shelf space. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. And as we said, we got some big plans for the show. Lots of things, interesting things I think people will like to see. So hopefully everyone enjoyed it. And thanks for watching.
Take care.